They said it was impossible. They said,
you can't put together the most elite team of comic book reviewers on the planet and do, a podcast or something like that?
Despite all that, today we can proudly announce... Yeah, they were right. We couldn't do it. So instead, we brought you the most vile, ignorant, unprofessional group of comic book enthusiasts we could find. This is Panel to Panel, the Game Rage Magazine comic podcast.
Welcome back, everyone, to a new episode of Panel to Panel. Oh, man, we were just talking about Scott Steiner becoming the fucking head of the FDA, and he makes steroids legal. There's going to be a BFN episode about that for sure.
Dude, imagine if you take anabolic steroids in a syringe, and typically people would stick it in their ass, right?
Yeah.
Or where, like you were saying, wherever.
Yeah, meaty part.
They're like, oh, sorry, sir, I stuck it in the wrong area. I put it on my face, and you just have muscles. Like
you have that Squidward fucking face or whatever. Yeah. It's all like
square
shredded,
jaw, yeah. Or you put it on your back, and you have a six-pack.
Yeah, your back. your back is flexing like biceps. I got 24-inch python, but on my back. Oh, man. Anyways, welcome to Panel. My name's Josh. That was Adam. And today we're going to talk about Darth Vader from 2015, issue number 20. And before we get into that, if you want to like, comment, and subscribe, also follow, you can go to Game Rage Magazine on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Also, you can go to Game Rage Mag on Twitter /X if that's your speed. You can follow Adam at All Gas No Trash Official on Instagram, and you can go check out the All Gas No Trash podcast where Adam, the Oracle, makes predictions and talks about music, and it's fucking amazing and glorious. And we might start a cult. I don't know.
We might start a cult.
That might be the new thing for 2025. Start the All Gas No AGNT the cult. All right, maybe that's what we do. Or maybe we start Game Rage the cult, and then we get all of the things have their own little subcults. So like there'll be a music subcult, there'll be a fucking wrestling subcult, a comic subcult. That way we get the best of all worlds.
Yeah, just like Christianity.
Basically, except we are in charge of everything. Like, that's where they fucked up, all right? The Catholics should have been in charge. The Pope should have been remaining the head of all of the little subsects, all right?
The Emperor, the Pope is not as forgiving as I
am. Cardinal Vader.
Cardinal Vader, dude.
Damn. Anyways, all right. Well, let me pull up this issue here out of my box of fucking comic books.
Out of my ass. My ass.
So we get Darth Vader, number 20. We get this sweet-ass fucking cover of all those Imperial Guards, those sweet, sweet Imperial Guards with their red-ass fucking shit and their shock pool cues or whatever the fuck they got here. We got Palpatine with some fucking electrical hands going on there, some force lightning, and Vader standing in his typical imposing fucking pose that he does. And we get Book 3, Part 5, The Shutoran War. And as always, I will read this in character of 000. It is a great time of unrest. Oh, I fucked it up. It is a time of great unrest and rebuilding for the Empire. After the destruction of the Death Star, Darth Vader is working to atone for his failure by reining in those who oppose the Empire's rule. With the unrest in Shutoran subsided, or subdued, and the planet's allegiance and resources won at last, Darth Vader's standing with his master, Emperor Palpatine, has greatly improved. All is not well, however, as Silo, Darth Vader's rival, has been exposed as a traitor and is on the run. What's more, the location of Vader's secret ally, Dr. Aphra, has been located at last by none other than Inspector Thanoth. Now, Vader travels to Coruscant to meet with the Emperor once more. And so, basically, we get this opening up near Kuat of Vader. 000 and BT are on the bridge of the goddamn Star Destroyer calling the shots. They're running the show, it seems like. They set up this meeting with Thanoth to take care of Dr. Aphra. And he says, all right, good shit. We got to take care of the Emperor. Then we go deal with Thanos. All right, it's all coming into plan. All right, the plan is coming to fruition here. And you hear this like bleep bleep, and he says, 000 says, why that's Tag's new flagship. And no, I don't think it's trashy at all. Fucking, and you see, here we are on the Executor, the Superstar Destroyer.
Thing's fucking massive.
Massive, dude. This thing is like a giant fucking beast of a ship. And it's being like built or whatever. It's in like this shipyard and they're like putting it together. And he says, to be honest, I'd quite like one of my own. And obviously, we know that the Executor becomes Darth Vader's fucking Superstar Destroyer. It's like the whole thing. But anyways, so we go aboard the Executor, and Vader's talking with Palpatine, and basically Palpatine's like, listen, I'm going to explain some shit to you. And he kind of goes on this little brief history lesson with the Sith and how essentially many moons ago, it's like he's like, many moons ago, my apprentice, we would fight the Jedi in these giant wars, and we would kill each other, and blah, blah, blah. And then basically, he just tells them that after the biggest war that, you know, we lost, essentially, we lost because we lost against ourselves, basically. We fucked ourselves. And
that's such a bitch move.
It is. It's like we didn't lose the war. We just lost. We lost.
We defeated ourselves. Yeah.
The Jedi didn't beat us. We beat ourselves. We beat us.
That is the biggest load of horse shit, especially coming from Palpatine, who I think is manipulating. The master manipulator of situations is probably telling Vader half truths about the Sith lore or Sith history. I don't know, man. I don't know if I completely.
In canon, though, he is kind of correct. Because the whole Darth Bane thing, which now I don't think that the Darth Bane story is like canon like that anymore. But essentially, I mean, the whole Darth Bane story was that the Jedi and the Sith were going to come to peace. They were going to have like a peace treaty. And that's how he got all of them to like meet on this planet. And he did this fucking thought bomb and killed everybody. Like, he killed anything that was living. And then basically that was how he wiped out the Jedi, or he wiped out the Sith.
I gotcha.
So that was his whole plan, was like, oh, if we're gonna treat with the Jedi, we become weak. Like, that's fucking weakness. We gotta get rid of this shit. So that's when he did the whole like rule of two thing, where it's like, okay, cool, now we don't gotta worry about anybody being a traitor, because there's just two of us. So like, that's it. And we're gonna be the most powerful motherfuckers ever, and then that's it. We're just gonna kill everybody. So now, granted, in the long scheme, that probably, you know, well, I mean, in the long scheme, it did work out great because that's how we get to this. But it took him 1,000 fucking years to get there, or whatever. So he starts talking about how the dark side is just too powerful, and that people who are weak, they just like stand in order or whatever. And the Sith, like, you know, we have one master, one apprentice. That's it. That's how it goes. And he's like, this is how it's been for generations, all coming up to me. And basically how Palpatine says he's the first one to restore the Sith to their true rightful place as leaders in the galaxy. And the Jedi all thought we were gone, and we used basically the pomp and the arrogance of the Jedi to fucking make this come to pass. And, you know, hey, Palpatine says he learned from the mistakes of his forebears, and I did some things that were not traditionally looked upon on the Sith as being like acceptable, right? So like using people who weren't Sith to get the means of the end or whatever. Oh, that's not allowed. Oh, but I did it. I did what I had to do. Darth Maul, yeah, man, that was a loss. Darth Tyrannus, proton torpedo, and he served his purpose and was gone, right? And he says, I had a superior candidate in mind, and that's when he...
Yes, but that also implies that he was using, like, as you were saying before, his means of getting things done were unconventional to the Sith, right? But he's basically confessing to Vader, you're just as replaced, and which he has to some degree with these twins and the numerous projects that Silo has made, that replacement is in line if necessary, and that Vader is expendable, that he's not special in any regard.
Right, except he is also rizzing him up in this thing.
Yes,
by telling him, after this, he tells him about how important he is to this whole thing.
Yes, but it's a lie.
It's a lie, but he's still rizzing him up or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, because he basically tells him like, oh, you did all these great things, and then Mustafar happened, where you fucking failed, and you basically almost cost the entire fucking thing because you didn't beat Obi-Wan on fucking Mustafar.
Yeah.
And he basically just says like, I got all these motherfuckers. I needed Darth Vader to live if the Empire was going to survive. And he just got all these motherfuckers, and he's like, listen, Silo, he was one of the scientists that helped build your ass. Like, that's just who I had to turn to. And we remade you, and even though we saved you, we also saved the Empire, right?
I don't know. Oh, never mind. I think. Never mind.
All right. So basically Vader says like, oh, you made a mistake about that. And then he says, well, yeah, he's like, the Silo dude got powerful. He had deep tendrils. He was a cancer that was one with the flesh, as they say. And he says, if I tore him free, it would be this whole fucking problem within the Empire. And he's like, the Death Star being constructed, like, I couldn't have that. I could not have that happen.
Yeah, so I don't know if he's implying that all the generals and everybody that makes up the Empire, right? I don't know if he's implying that they would have a military coup on Palpatine. Like, he has some fear about, like they've grown or whatever, but he needs Darth Vader as a deterrent against, the military forces of like the Empire. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's kind of what Palpatine is, how he's playing this whole Silo thing out by saying basically I needed to make him become a traitor. Like, I had to have him overplay his hand. And he's like, he told me about these replacements for you that he had fucking came up with. So I just told him like, okay, cool, prove yourself, bitch. Like, let's go. And he's like, I know my true apprentice would fucking take care of business. And Silo just went too far. And then he just was simply a traitor now that he's gone too far. And now we can purge him. And he's like, do you get this, Vader? And he's like, yeah, I do. If any of Silo's toys has succeeded, though, you would be making this speech to them.
Yeah. I feel like that's a fair fucking statement from Vader.
It is. And then there's this silence between the two of them. And then Vader just says, that does not matter. The dark side is strength. I am that strength. And then yes, you are Vader. Let me jerk your robot dick off.
Yeah. Let me burn let me jerk off your burned dick.
He says, Silo has run. Find him. He must be destroyed. And Vader just says, as you wish. And we go back to Anthem 13, where we got Vader in his fucking advanced tie, and he walks into this fucking cave, turns on his lightsaber. And it's funny because Thanos is just standing there with his goddamn cane. Lord Vader, timely. I always admired your punctuality. And he basically just, Vader wants to get straight to the point. Like, where's the fucking girl? And he's like, yes, Dr. Aphra. Let's call her by her name, She is your lady. She is your girl, after all, you know what I'm saying? And he should know that there are some lingering doubts over her doctorate, though. And he just says, where is she? And he says, listen, this would go a lot quicker if you cut the bluster, all right? I'm not afraid of you, Vader. I have something you want, and as long as it's in my possession, I'm safe. Patience, Lord Vader, all in good time. And he says, say your piece. And he says, the girls escaped. Nagged. Too many loose ends, too many coincidences. Something grander was afoot than simple larceny. She was being protected. The suspect was, somewhat obvious, Lord Vader. How could she gain the patronage of a dark Lord of the Sith? I let the business conclude with the slaughter of the plasma devils and investigated, and I uncovered a string of fascinating journeys and an equally intriguing string of bodies. Trips to Tatooine, trips to Naboo, trips to Vrogas Vas, all routes leading to a certain Luke Skywalker. And he says, Skywalker, there's a name with history, eh? A powerful bloodline, so much potential. You wish to find the boy, train him in your ways, and supplant the Emperor. And Vader's just like, Aphra needs to be removed to ensure the Emperor never discovers. You need to find her, and I'm here to tell you where she is. And he says, why? Why? You speak as if there's only one reason. Primarily, the Emperor is weak. A plan stretching across decades to build an unparalleled weapon and a handful of fighters bring it crashing down. His grasp is faltering. A stronger hand is required. The Emperor is a man. I believe in the eternal Empire. You are better for the Empire, so your plan must succeed. And then Vader's like, then fucking tell me! He's like, but there's the other why. Why didn't I, for example, send you an anonymous message with her location? Maybe then you wouldn't have to kill me too. And he says, because you're not a fool, Lord Vader. You are tenacious and unstoppable. Look at all the bodies you threw into my path to try and put me off the scent. You would have to know the source eventually. You'd find a clue, and then you would not rest until you saw me dead by your own two hands. So I could send this anonymous message and spend the rest of my life running away while you waste effort that should be spent on rescuing the Empire from itself. Or we could save everyone a whole lot of time. And then he just said, it's been a pleasure working with you, Anakin. She is on the cosmetanic steps. And then Vader just fucking lightsabers his ass.
So I'm guessing they're implying that Thanos wanted a seat with Vader in his coup, like as his right-hand man.
That's kind of what it's like looking like.
But then he murdered him.
And then now we don't get any more cool Inspector Thanos, as we figured would happen.
Yeah.
And then fucking, what's his name? 000's like, are we on cops disposal duty again? And then BT's like, bleep, bleep. And he says, quite BT. I'm excited by this prospect too. And then Vader just says, I have business with the scientist. Afra is on the cosmetanic steps in the Outer Rim. You will return her to the Executor. Failing that, she must be silenced. These are your priority orders. Are you capable of this, droids? And then fucking 000. By ourselves it can be somewhat tricky. For a fleshy one, she is famously resourceful. Luckily, we've managed to acquire a number of friends on our adventures. We'll be fine. And then you see all the fucking goddamn assassin droids and then fucking Black Chrysanthemum hanging out behind them. So they're ready to rock. And then he says, no, I don't think Master Vader is going to bring Silo back. Yes, it is a shame. I just have loved to have tortured him to death again. And then that's where we get the end of the episode, and we get the next issue in like this Western fucking bar with one of those fucking little what you call it, droids. It looks like those little gonk droids from fucking episode 1.
Episode 1, yeah.
Like folded up, and we get Afra sitting at it's like a Western bar, like a tavern or whatever. And then we see the fucking, you see the legs or the bottom half of BT, but you can't see it because he's like covered by the little what is it? Those little open doors, those barn doors or whatever.
Yeah.
And you just see his red eye behind the fucking thing, and then you see the red eyes of 000. It's fucking great. It's a good little fucking. What the fuck is this? Is this like a little bonus comic?
I don't know if I read that myself.
I don't think I read this. Yeah. Huh. Well, anyways, damn, what is this, like an end credits scene? Jesus Christ, it's like a whole other issue.
I don't know if I read.
It says The Misadventures of 000 and BT. I wonder if this is like a side comic that they did.
Yeah, just within.
We'll have to check that out maybe.
Yeah.
Anyways, all right, well, that's the end of this issue. This was a good issue. I felt like it was a good issue.
It definitely builds up on the conflict or implied tension between Vader and fucking Darth Sidious that lead into episodes 4, 5, and 6. Or wait, this one takes place between what is it?
This one takes place between 4 and 5.
4 and 5, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it definitely builds up on the anticipation that there would be betrayal from Vader no longer being subservient to. I think it adds more of those moments to eventually lead to Return of the Jedi with him throwing him over the what is it, into the reactor core or whatever.
Yeah.
I dig that. And I also love that Vader wasn't also taking his shit. He's like, you knew if I fucking died, you would have told any one of these assholes.
Same shit right now.
I love that. I fucking love that.
Yeah, it's good shit. So, anyways, all right, well, that'll do it for us on this one. So, catch us on the next one. Also, if you want to follow us on social media and YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok, Game Rage Magazine, Game Rage Mag on Twitter/X. Follow Adam at All Gas No Trash Official. We'll catch you guys on the next one.
That was Panel to Panel, the Game Rage Magazine comic book podcast. Thanks for listening. If you want to know more and follow along, go to Instagram and TikTok. Follow at Game Rage Magazine. If you want to follow on Twitter/X at Game Rage Mag. Tune in next time.